Hello everyone, welcome to another video. Today, we will explore shocking stories of teenagers who, despite their young age, committed extremely serious crimes. When confronted with justice, the reactions of these young people often reveal the heavy consequences they now have to face. It serves as a reminder that even in youth, thoughtless actions can lead to severe sentences. Let's dive into these cases, understand what led these teenagers to commit such crimes, and see how the justice system handles these complex situations. In 2011, Erica Mae Butts and Shanita Let Rice were sentenced to life in prison for the brutal murder of Serenity Richardson, a little girl just 3 years old. Erica, the child's godmother, was a trusted figure in the family, someone Serenity's mother deeply relied on. This trust was betrayed in the worst possible way. It all started when Serenity spent 2 weeks at Erica and Shanita's home. During that stay, something trivial happened: the child wet the floor. Instead of handling the situation appropriately, the two women reacted with extreme violence, using a belt to beat the little girl. The outcome was tragic, with Serenity losing her life due to her injuries. At the trial, upon hearing their life sentences, Erica and Shanita lost control. They screamed, cried, and threw themselves on the courtroom floor, but it was too late. The life they had taken could not be restored, and now they would face the consequences of their inhumane actions. Their despair in the courtroom reflected their late regret and the realization that there was no turning back. Wesling Martin was only 17 years old when he committed a crime that shocked his family and community. He murdered his grandfather, Joseph, 63, using a hatchet. What makes this case even more disturbing is that Martin coldly planned the crime. Initially, he considered poisoning his grandfather, but then decided to use a hammer. However, he eventually opted for an even more brutal method, the hatchet, with which he struck the victim 31 times. During the trial, the severity of the crime led Martin to be tried as an adult despite his age. He was sentenced to life in prison, with the possibility of parole after 25 years. In court, when the sentence was announced, Martin finally seemed to grasp the enormity of what he had done. He began to tremble while taking a sip of water, visibly shaken. The coldness with which he planned the murder contrasted with his desperate reaction upon realizing he would spend much of his life behind bars. Dylan Shoemaker, 16, was convicted of an equally devastating crime. He was babysitting his girlfriend Ashley's 2 young children while she was at work. In a moment of anger, Dylan ended up taking the life of Ashley's older son, Austin, who was just 2 years old. During the investigation, it became clear that the boy had been brutally beaten, and all evidence pointed to Dylan as the perpetrator. In court, Dylan tried to justify his actions, claiming that he did not intend to hurt the boy. However, the marks left on the child's body told a different story. The judge was not fooled by Dylan's tears and accused him of being manipulative and deceptive. The sentence was harsh: 25 years in prison. Although in 2016 his sentence was reduced to 18 years, the impact of his actions cannot be erased. The moment of despair in the courtroom, with Dylan crying like a child, highlighted the contrast between his violence and the fragility of his reaction upon being condemned. In 2013, Jaleel Smith Reed committed a crime that forever changed the lives of 2 families. During an armed robbery, he took the life of a young woman and severely injured her boyfriend. The case happened in Norwood, United States, and started as a car robbery. Even after obtaining the victim's belongings, Jaleel decided to shoot them, resulting in tragedy. In 2016, Jaleel pleaded guilty to the crime, but shortly after, he attempted to withdraw his confession. The judge, however, upheld the sentence and condemned Jaleel to life in prison without the possibility of parole. At the moment of sentencing, Jaleel couldn't handle the pressure and emotionally collapsed in the middle of the courtroom. He had to be held up by the police as the judge read his sentence. The severity of his sentence reflected the gravity of his actions and the devastating impact it had on the victims and their families. At 17, Kyandria Cook became involved in a series of crimes with her boyfriend, using dating apps to lure victims to isolated locations where they would rob them. In 2017, during one of these armed encounters, the victim, Perry Nita, brought along his friend, Emmanuel Purell. When Kyandria's boyfriend announced the robbery, Perry and Emmanuel tried to flee, but Emmanuel was shot twice in the abdomen, leaving him critically injured. After the incident, Kyandria turned herself in to the police, believing that by cooperating, she could avoid prison. However, that didn't happen. The judge sentenced her to 20 years in prison. During the sentencing, Kyandria's mother broke down in tears in the courtroom, while Kyandria herself also cried in despair. Although her sentence was reduced to 11 years for cooperating with the investigation, the impact of her actions and the suffering caused cannot be erased. The young woman who used her youth for crime now faces years of incarceration before she can rebuild her life. These stories show that crime, regardless of age, brings severe consequences. The young people portrayed here learn the hard way that their actions have a profound impact not only on their own lives but also on the lives of their victims and families. The path of crime is always destructive, and the only way to avoid these tragedies is to live with honesty and responsibility. Plant good deeds, because only then will you reap good results. What do you think about these cases? Leave your opinion in the comments. If you liked the video, click the like button and subscribe to the channel for more videos. Thank you very much, and see you in the next video.